The Community Arts Music Association offers a music appreciation program to local schools. Listen in while students at Adams School in Santa Barbara enjoy the music of Bach, Beethoven, and more.
I loved CAMA so much. I think that it is a great way to learn about music.
We can learn music and famous people in the past.
CAMA teaches the history of composers like Beethoven, Vivaldi, and Cesar Cui. A woman comes in and teaches us about all composers of the period.
Every time they see that we have CAMA up on the board, they get very excited. And, oh, yay, the CAMA lady's coming, yay! So they're very excited. And it's just very well organized. The kids know what to expect. There are no surprises. It's been great.
Okay, you ready? We're going to be doing Pictures of Russian Music. That's the name of today's title. And just out of curiosity, who's heard of Tchaikovsky, the composer Tchaikovsky? Okay, the name is familiar. Does anybody know something that Tchaikovsky wrote? Okay. Has anybody danced in or gone to the Nutcracker Ballet? Okay, that's probably where you don't realize, but you know about Tchaikovsky because Tchaikovsky is the composer of the Nutcracker music. He also wrote another ballet called Swan Lake, if any of you have heard of Swan Lake. My name is Joan Crossland. I am a docent for the Community Arts Music Association Education Outreach Program. I'm also the docent coordinator, so I'm the one who tries to obtain and recruit new docents for this program. We go out to various elementary schools, mostly in 4th and 5th grades, to present music from the classical periods. We talk a little bit about the composers and the music genre. The kids get to hear listening examples, and we use a PowerPoint presentation so that they are also stimulated a little bit visually. Peter Tchaikovsky, there's his birth, there's his death, 1840 to 1893. So how long did he live? Yeah. 53 years. Yeah, 53 years. And do you remember the period of time between 1810 and 1910? What it was called? We've done a lot of that this year. Yeah. Romantic period. So from 1810 to 1910, the composers who were creating music then were from that Romantic period.
I go home and I listen to classical music when I'm either by myself or with my sister, but my sister usually turns on the kind of music that she likes. So it's kind of weird, like it's like a battle of music.
I think that the music program is fun for 4th graders and we learn about history.
I like classical music because it makes me feel happy and not mad.
It's fun because we get to learn about new composers and how they died and different kind of pieces of music.
When I play the music, if you think your instrument, one of the instruments on your card is being performed, if you can hear it, raise up your card with the instrument facing me so I can kind of nod at you and make sure that you have the right one up.
When we listen to the music, we get to hold up these cards with instruments on them if we think that we hear them in the song, in the music.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you've got cymbals too. Okay, now what's this? Da, 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 da. What do you think that is? Clarinet? And who's doing the da 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 da? Yeah, violins. A typical presentation would be for me to come into the classroom. I use the PowerPoint presentation to show the kids the composers that we'll be talking about. We have listening examples that are actually embedded into the program, so it's very easy just to click on a little icon and they hear a little snippet of the composer's music. We talk a little bit about melody, rhythm, and emotion, which we feel are really the three key elements for any kind of music. And again, we're trying to get the kids to understand how music has developed over the years, and that those three elements, that melody, rhythm, emotions, and also just the sounds that they're hearing of the instruments, those are all connected. And it doesn't matter if they're listening to Vivaldi or Chopin or Louis Armstrong or anybody today, Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson. They all have rhythm, sound, and melodies in their music. So there were strings playing, there were those woodwinds. You remember which instruments were the woodwinds? Hold up your instrument card if you think you have a woodwind instrument. Remember, it doesn't have to be made out of wood to be called a woodwind. Yours is a brass instrument. Okay. The Russian composers would often take folk music that was part of their culture, part of their history, and they would use the melody, one of the main melodies of a folk song, and they would make it into a larger piece of music. The other thing, repetition. What is repetition? What does that mean? Repetition. What word is similar to repetition, do you think? Repeat. Yeah. So repetition is when you're repeating. Okay? In this case, they're repeating the melody. It's just different instruments who are playing the same melody, but it's in their own instrument's sound, and they might be changing it just a little bit.
My favorite composer is Mozart because I like how he did all his pieces with just like a violin or a piano.
My favorite part is learning the composer.
My favorite composers are Mozart,
Bach, Beethoven,
Schumann, Mozart,
Bach.
and Beethoven.
Dr. David Malvini, who is a musicologist who actually graduated from UCSB here in town, developed this program through a grant from CAMA, because CAMA wanted to get out into the schools and really preserve classical music exposure in our elementary school system, where throughout the years, as everyone knows, the arts are always the first thing to be cut, and this was a way to try to keep it going for the students. The 5 composers that were, in addition, I think, to Tchaikovsky, who we first heard, these were important to Russian history. Of the 5, we're going to listen to Rimsky-Korsakov and Modest Mussorgsky. And this guy here, which is this picture, he was very important to all of the other 4. Okay? And the reason he was so important is he would often help the others with their music.
Well, I think it exposes kids to a part of our culture that many of them just don't get to have in their homes. I have memories of my childhood with my stepdad in the living room, just listening to very loud music and conducting, and it just made a huge impression on me. And so it gives them that cultural, I guess, literacy in music that they wouldn't get without this.
It's calm, it makes you feel good, and you don't really have to worry about anything.
I like to listen to the music because it makes me calm, and to hear the violins.
Scheherazade is a very famous character from a story called 1001 Nights. And in very simple terms, it's a story about a girl or young woman who basically wanted to save her sister from being put to death. Scheherazade said, before I am put to death, may I please tell my sister a story, because she loves hearing stories. So the sister comes in and she proceeds to start telling these stories about a character named Sinbad. So what Rimsky-Korsakov did was he took this story and he said, I want to write music that represents these little stories of Sinbad and of Scheherazade telling the stories. So in this piece, the violin that you hear, the single violin, represents Scheherazade. So when you hear the violin come in, that's Scheherazade introducing the story that she's going to tell. And then the other instruments that start to play that you'll hear represent different characters in the stories. Close your eyes and get a picture in your head of what your ship on the sea looks like. What does the ocean look like? What's happening to the ship?
It made me feel relaxed and calm and really not be stressed out over anything, and you shouldn't be stressed out over anything.
When I was listening to Scheherazade, I pictured in my head that the ship it crashed, and the waves were coming over into the deck, and that the ship crashed into rocks.
It's really interesting because I have that book and I've read the whole thing.
Right now they're learning how to play the violin, and it just goes perfectly with this program.
I'm learning to play the violin, and I think it's really fun.
My favorite subject about violin is playing the violin because you get to learn all different musics.
And our hope is that the kids will walk away with kind of an appreciation for finding out about other music that they don't normally get to listen to at home or aren't exposed to.
I think all fourth graders should have CAMA next year because the children can learn history from every composer.
Ultimately, we want them to understand that the music of today that they do listen to is part of a progression of music history, that without Bach, without Beethoven, without Vivaldi, Chopin, Mozart, all these wonderful composers, there would be no Usher or Beyonce or Christina Aguilera or any of the other musicians that they're listening to today.
I loved the romantic music the most. When I was listening to the romantic music, I pictured flowers and all different kinds of birds. I love CAMA, and I hope that we can have CAMA next year.
And also we can maybe compose our own music too.
This is one of the best things that has happened in fourth grade.